So we're standing here next to Peter's domestic animal here, and what Peter was just talking about, what we were talking about there, about that physical element of going in and looking at books where you lift all the flaps to see all the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. Is that something, do you think, that is changing significantly for people now with everything? You know, I'm just looking at kids growing up now, and it's all online, so they don't have that physicality of going in and moving and lifting and adding layers. Is that something that you see as changing, or, you know, have you kind of considered that, I suppose, in where we're going with how things work in life today?
Yeah, definitely. Right, I'm very aware of that, what's going on, what's happening, and the changes, and how information is accessed, and how it's shared, and how we communicate with each other. And I think, like, the way I'm making things, it's all kind of harking back to this previous way. And it's there's a lot of things kind of tied up in it, like there's some nostalgia, there's some just, I got so much from this, so I want to try and do something like this as well and put it back into the world. But as well, I think it's okay to question how things are changing and whether it is necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, because there's so much change. But because, like, it's a complicated issue, because there's so much, like, we can get all this information at the drop of a hat. Like, you know, your phone is in your pocket. I could find out what the inside of a cat looked like in 30 seconds if I wanted to. But there's something about the inquiry and the kind of effort that you have to put in to find out if you're going about it a different way. You know, like if you had to go down to a museum, or if you had to go into the library and find the right shelf, find the right book, find the right page, sit down and really study something. I think there's something about the reward of that isn't the same when it's instant.
Yes, that instant feature brings a whole new dimension to it. What the time that you've put into researching, in going to those places, I think there's a huge amount that stays with you longer because of that.
Yeah, it does. And I think that it's been scientifically proven that those, you know, if you write something down, you take it in, like you'll remember it, as opposed to if you just read something. So I'm very aware of that. And as well, it affects your memory differently and your thought processing, like long-term memory and short-term memory. They're different things. So when you actually study something and you work at it, it's like, right, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a psychologist, but it goes deeper in than if it's just on the top and then it gets sort of knocked out again by the next fact or whatever it is that comes along.
Yeah, and just looking at, building on that and looking at your work here, amazing. You know, all of the time that you've put into research and the time that you've really hands-on approach has been how you've created your art all through the years. It's so evident in this piece here, which is Domestic Animal, which is the insides of the skeletal frame of a cat, I believe. I'm not sure if it was your own cat or, you know, whether you found a cat along the way, but from start to finish, from the display case to the table to every little piece that's in this, this is all very much coming from your hands, Peter. And you were telling us about, and you might just tell the friends there about the whittling that you did with the, because this was so brilliant, the chess set that you made when you couldn't find one that you needed, the travel chess set.
Yeah, I was looking for a travel chess set, just a small one, and I couldn't find one that was decent. Like, they were all sort of plasticky, or they didn't do what I wanted. I wanted something I could just fold up and put in my pocket, and I couldn't find one, so I made one for myself. And then me next door neighbour saw it, and then they asked would I make a chess set for them, and then I made one for my brother, and then it kind of developed into this business, and I was taking commissions online, designing different types of chess sets, kind of custom making designs for people, and then selling them. And
you were only a young fella then?
Well, no, I was in my early 20s. Well, you know, yeah, I know it's young to me now as well. Yeah, I kind of forget. Yeah, and I was just doing it with, like, the wood that I was actually making the pieces from was all just found. Like, I started off getting Christmas trees after Christmas because they'd just be getting chucked away. Yeah, and so that's what I know. It's a really nice wood to work with. So
softwood,
yeah, pine, and then I would find trees when they came down in storms and parks, that kind of thing, and I just cut them up and bring them home. Yeah, so that's how the woodworking started, was through that, and I just really enjoyed the possibilities of what you can get out of a piece of timber.
That's fantastic. You've brought back in the sustainable element and the reusing of a material that has been disposed. The Christmas tree at the end of Christmas. Everyone, feels a little bit bad at the end of Christmas when you're throwing out all of these chopped down trees. To see that somebody was able to use it for another purpose, it's feeding back into very much what we spoke about with Fiona, your own partner, about this. So interesting to see too that crossover between the two of you. And that idea of sharing ideas between artists that would have traditionally been there from when they were in close proximity, and artists' colonies and things, that's something that we spoke about as well. The influence and the ideas and the sharing of materials and thought processes, is that something that you've noticed from your own working relationship alongside another artist, Fiona Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, we have similar interests previously because that's why, you have a connection with a person. Yeah. But definitely, especially like Fiona researches things so thoroughly. Like, she knows a lot about a subject and about sustainability and making and where things come from and extractivism and all this kind of thing. So we can have proper conversations about that kind of thing, and hopefully, she would get some insights as well from myself. Like, it's always a conversation like that.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you so much for giving us your time today, Peter. I know that every time we look at your work here now, we're going to think about your stories of growing up and of all of that lovely sense of history and your love of the natural history, and yet with that kind of very hands-on sustainable element still attached, and that sense of humour and fun that's still inside in your work. So on behalf of the friends of the Crawford Art Gallery, congratulations for joining our national collection. You've definitely enriched it, and we'd be delighted to see more of your work on exhibition here. And come in, friends, for yourself to see Peter's work. It's on exhibition here currently in the Menagerie in the Long Room, which is a lovely safe space. Thank you very much for your time today, Peter Nash.
Thank you. Thanks very much.